Hi everyone, welcome to BullCaster, a talk show for all crypto bulls. Here we are to discuss the most exciting industry topics with the best industry experts, influencers, and remarkable personalities. So please welcome today's guest, Connor Thacker, who's a manager director of Polker, the first play-to-earn NFT blockchain poker game built on Unreal Engine. Hi, Connor.
Hey, Konstantin.
Nice to have you with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
Yeah, so today's topic is play to earn and NFT gaming revolution, and Connor will share his experience and point of view of this exciting industry. We're talking about gamify and confluence between the gaming industry and generally what's happening with the gambling component of this industry. And we can see that exponential growth in a few recent years with projects like X Infinity, CryptoKitties, and many others. And the value right now is so now measured in billions of dollars. So, however, this revolution happens to be ambitious, and yet we want to know more, like how projects like Polker, and as you know, it's our portfolio company. It was actually, we're excited to remember the fact that Polker was actually the first deal on BullPerks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a milestone for you guys and for us, obviously. So please, just to begin with, tell us a little bit about your background and how do you envision, play to earn and NFT gaming as a whole?
No, it's it's like you said, us and BullPerks have been together for a long time, so it's nice to be here. My background in this industry is quite interesting. It was 2017. I was decentralized finance. It was complete unknown. It was just like this world of what can we do with smart contracts. And I remember, I think it was, I have no idea, November or December when CryptoKitties came out. There were games before. This was the first game I was aware of. It was the first time that you could send an Ethereum transaction and it didn't just go through, you had to wait. And when you start, what's going on with Ethereum? Oh, people are buying cats. And my first thought, what do you mean people are buying cats? Within like 3 or 4 days, they'd raised $1 million, which at the time was unheard of people buying digital cats on the Ethereum blockchain to breed them, completely causing congestion. And I guess this was the start of, the gaming industry on blockchain. And then we moved to this, this play to earn, when people are not just playing games, they're actually going to get something back from it. And this space is great because at the moment, the gaming industry is a gigantic, it's huge. It's run by 3 or 4 big companies, and is a very profitable industry. However, people are spending hours, I want to say hours, they're spending huge amounts of time a day playing these games. If people could be getting something back for that time, it's time they're putting into a company, right? So if they can be getting something back for that, which is what we're now enabling, I think that is, if it's something possible, then it's something that we should be looking for.
Indeed, yeah. Since 2013, 12, when I actually started to join the crypto industry, it was a very different arena back then. Like, we've seen different blockchain games trying to succeed on the market, and I don't know if you remember, there was like Hunter Coin, and many other projects pivoting, right? But that was a very different time, so, and unfortunately some of them failed and stopped their existence, obviously, during the different cycles and crisis. And I remember in Chinese, crisis on the one hand is also an opportunity, right? So with this, I'm curious to hear your opinion on what should the play to earn projects focus on in order to be successful even during the bear markets.
I think this comes down to everyone's a genius in a bull market. It doesn't matter what your tokenomics are, it doesn't matter what your strategy is. You can be hyperinflationary, people are still going to buy into it, and people will still make money. Unfortunately, when the market turns like it has now, those hyperinflationary tokens are worth pennies, everything begins to collapse, and it doesn't work. I think the term play to earn is so broad, right? We have, that's putting the whole gaming industry in one. At the moment, we have pay to play, which if you want to call that gaming. But maybe Play and Earn, which would be a game where, you know, your main, you know, interest is the game, but you're earning while you're doing it. And then Play to Earn, as in the main interest is to actually earn, whereas the game isn't as interesting. So I think the spectrum is so huge, but you know, the bear market is a good time to be developing. It's to be revising tokenomic structure, and to be looking at, you know, your demographic. Are they there for the game, or are they there to actually make money? Like, and making sure that what you're doing is targeting the right group. For us
Yeah.
at Polker, we've been focusing on the game, and I think that's really important.
It is important indeed, and you know, I want to touch a topic that is probably not the most sexy one, but we want to talk about it because, you know, since you're here, and we're going to address some, you know, hard topics as well, right? You know, for example, there are a lot of projects that are coming from, you know, I would say not fully legitimate backgrounds, to say the least, right? You know, people who are coming from Forex background, you know, binary options and gambling, who are just like doing pump and dump and then they disappear. And obviously that doesn't help industry, right? They're good in marketing, right? They're good at attracting users, but then what happens, like they invest and disappear. So what would be your advice for the community to actually have the proper tools of avoiding, you know, fall into these traps?
For me, if it looks too good to be true, probably it is too good to be true. But this is the thing, right? The human nature, greed is natural. You look at something, oh, the 150% APY, no risks. You know, people are jumping in. There's loads of good reviews. You know, they put a bunch of money on YouTubers and advertising. It's tempting, you know. You know, if you can do your research, if they've got a team and they're not anonymous, you can do the research on who's behind it. You know, they're doxed. Anonymous teams, huge APYs, big red flag. You know, but if you can see who's there, you know, if they're, you know, they're not promising the moon, promising something realistic, you know, you don't have to have, you know, 500% APY from an anonymous team that you have no idea who they are. Like, maybe they're legitimate, you know, maybe one day there is something that makes magical money forever, but most likely not. So stick to the projects with real teams, and that would be my suggestion on that one.
100%, yes. And I remember you guys also partnered with Acon back in the days, right? You know, and
yeah,
you know, even though there was also not a criticism, you probably remember where like Paris Hilton and Floyd Mayweather were also involved into some projects that were questionable. Let's put it this way, right? So it's still like, you know, even if there's a public team and, you know, big influencers involved, like it's not a guarantee that the project is legitimate, right? So maybe you can advise us, like, you know, some other tools like that. You know, the industry is growing. There's a lot of you know, pushback, and especially from the traditional gamers. That's an interesting component I want to address as well. People like from big corporations are like opposing the NFT movement, right, and the play to earn, because they're not convinced, you know, of the advantages. So maybe you can combine this answer with like explaining the advantages of the real and legitimate projects and how to make sure that people have the tools to elaborate on this.
yeah, I think this is interesting because this is where, like, you know, the gaming industry is massive on one hand, and, you know, the crypto industry is massive, but they're very different places. uh, and the for-profit companies, obviously, like, you know, they're not really interested in putting, you know, the power and the money in a decentralized fashion back to the players, because, well, that's losing their profit margin. So that's understandable as well. So I think there's going to be a sort of time where there is a big wall, a big divide, and that's going to slowly cross over until there's some kind of middle ground. It's not going to be all play to earn. It's not going to be all typical games. But eventually, you know, I don't think the world is quite ready for full decentralization yet. So I think we'll find some kind of, you know, where companies will still profit from it, but people will still be able to make money while playing. And I think that's, you know, if everyone wins, if the companies win and the players win, I think that's where it will start, to actually make a bigger movement. So I expect that will where we'll go next.
And I think it's also interesting how COVID and then generally the pandemic changed the perception of the sports betting and gambling itself. Like, before, like it's incredibly profitable industry. For someone who doesn't know, commercial gaming revenue includes like in-person gambling and online gambling. Sports betting is like almost over $6 billion in revenue, right? So the decentralization that is coming right now is still super early, and it's only biting like a small piece of the industry. So I'm curious to hear your honest opinion. So how long would it take to actually, this revolution to kick in, and to make sure that, like slowly but surely, like major companies are they're following this trajectory?
It's I wouldn't like to give a time frame. I would like to give, I feel that, blockchain technology in general, when it comes to betting, is something that can be incorporated, whether it's decentralized or not, but just for the on-chain matter of evidence, it was there at that point in time. Having that on-chain use, it doesn't matter whether the bet itself is decentralized, but at least you've got that time-stamped evidence on the blockchain forever. So I feel that blockchain usage within sports betting will probably pick up during the bear market over the next couple of years. But I still reckon that we're 5 to 10 years away for it to become mainstream adopted and used, because it's still too technical right now. We haven't made it easy for the user. So I'd say,
Indeed.
and also the companies are opposing it, right? So, well, first eventually they will embrace it, but I don't think we're at that point yet.
So if you were to analyze, what are the, let's say, top three problems that like Play2Earn and the gambling industry, like decentralized gambling industry in nature is facing today?
I think when it comes to decentralization in gambling, you've got regulatory problems. That's probably the first one. You've then got, jurisdiction. Like every country has different rules. If you're going fully decentralized with a libertarian attitude of, I don't mind who you are, where you're from, whatever, you can play. That's, the original true focus of the Bitcoin idea. However, on a gambling perspective, you're breaking just about every law. There is something that would even need to be considered or ignored, depending on your attitude towards the project. And just user experience right now, like, there's so many options to do things in a decentralized way, but unless you've really been familiar with it for an amount of time, it's complicated, like, yeah, for me and you, it's probably very simple, but it's something we've been doing and using over years now. But for someone coming into this space, it's much easier for me to log into a sports betting site and click bet than it is to, connect my MetaMask to this and put this here. And what am I doing? And then someone steals all my money because I've given them my seed phrase. So I'd say those were the things that need to be looked at a little bit closer.
The last question I will ask you, like, just on my side, I'd be curious, like, so where do you see the major licenses are being, like, established? Like, I know that Gibraltar is now like getting very popular, like Costa Rica, many other jurisdictions. So in your opinion, like, I mean, obviously it's not a legal advice, so we'll throw the disclaimer, but in your opinion, what will be the future jurisdiction that will win the hearts and minds of the not only users, but actually corporations?
I think it's going to be a hard one. You see a lot of countries now embracing, crypto. British Virgin Islands are picking up on it fast. A lot of the Central American countries, offering options there. Malta, being already the hub of iGaming and sports betting in a centralized manner, is beginning to pick up on the crypto side. And even the Emirates are massively opening their arms to crypto. So it's where will be the biggest hub in the future? I don't know. I think the next couple of years we'll probably see a lot more countries opening their arms. Yeah, there's money for them in the end of the day.
Yes, indeed. So with this, like I want to make sure that we're opening the questions to our audience, because I think it's I can ask you questions all day long, but like, we're curious to interact with with our community. So with this said, like, I just want to remind people who are like asking in whatever, whenever you're asking, like, you can ask on YouTube Live, in Twitter Live, in Facebook Live, and in LinkedIn Live, right? So, and then our moderator is collecting all the questions, and I'm gonna announce them. So with this said, we have our first question, French M from YouTube. So it's I'll read it the way it is. Like, so, well, Polker, how does it feel for Polker to be the first project in BullPerks, and what kind of exciting cooperations do you have and plans with BullPerks team? This was not planned, I promise.
That's definitely sounds like a marketing question. That wasn't from us either. No, it's cool. Like, we launched the token a long time ago. We had the massive sale with NFT sale with you guys. It was extremely successful at the end of last year. Also, we've continued. I know that you're partnering with some of us. You have other projects starting up with you. Hector was on a chat with one of your partners recently. So we'll continue to do as much as we can with you guys, and hopefully, when new things come up, you'll also continue to do things with us.
Yeah, we should maybe come up with some, like, maybe a mutual NFT that will have utility, like, and launch
Exactly.
it. So
we can have a BullPerks Polker NFT or something. So
yeah, so we'll talk about
definitely
it.
things to come.
Exactly. So then another question from Blog Jelly. I don't see from where, seems from YouTube as well. What does Polker have in mind for growth and building during the bear market?
Yeah, that's a reasonable question. We've decided we were building on Unreal Engine 4, ready for the release. So we thought, okay, well, it's not the best time to release a Play2Earn game anyway. So we've migrated all of the graphics onto Unreal Engine 5. So we've got a lot of 3D animated moving backgrounds, a lot more of an immersive experience. So I'd say that we're actually pushing back our release date. But the game that we release is going to be a much more of A+ game than a A- game. So the game is definitely improving, and we're spending this time just making it something really, really special.
Got it. Thank you. And then now I'm not sure I'll be able to pronounce this nickname properly, but I'll do my best. Like Mr. GMC Donald 555 from YouTube. So just wondering about the Polker NFTs we purchased in the INO. Other than holding them in our wallet, are there any use cases currently, or are we able to stake them and earn rewards?
So at the moment on the early access program, we have a centralized wallet system that is at the moment closed off. Once we go into public release, the custodial system will be open, so you'll be able to transfer and withdraw within the game. And then the NFT will have full utility. So you're going to have it come your dealer, it will change the backgrounds. You're going to be able to actually earn while you're playing, add accessories, remove accessories. It's a real visual, immersive experience while you're playing poker at the same time. So yeah, at the moment, no. The best thing is actually no case with them right now. But yeah, it's coming. That's all I can say.
Okay. So does Polker, so Moxie from YouTube is asking, does Polker have any type of airdrops? If yes, when's the next one?
This is the when Binance question, right?
Uh-huh.
I believe we did have an airdrop through CoinMarketCap, I believe in June last year. We don't have one right now. However, we do have prizes for our trivia, which we run every Friday. So if you want to join us on our Discord, come. It's just a bit of fun. We ask a few questions, some about crypto, some about cats, whatever. But we do have prizes for that where you can earn PKR.
Got it. So I think we'll focus last one on connected to Polker. So Thara from YouTube is asking, what marketing plans do you have for when the bull market comes back? Some aggressive or just organic marketing?
I think we made some good choices and some, I would say less good choices last time. So we'll learn from our mistakes and focus more on, making sure that we're staying away from people who did promote scams last time, and making sure that we're just focusing in the serious, more mainstream, but actual legitimate media. We don't need all of the massive hype of, I'm not going to name the YouTubers, but those of you who know,
Yeah, we all know who they are.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So we're just going to focus on marketing in the right place. That's what I want to say. We'll make sure that we get the people we need, and we'll do it the right way.
Perfect. So just made it from YouTube is asking, whether you feel like this Play2Earn thing is not just a hype and something meaningful to build on? Do you have a story for this? I guess.
No, a story. So let's say Play2Earn is basically a little bit like discovering fire, right? It's great, but when people who discovered fire probably set themselves on fire and burnt themselves a lot of times. However, it turned out it's really useful. We have the steam engine, we're heating for our houses, but we're kind of at that beginning phase where right now we're running around stepping on fire and burning ourselves. So I think it's finding the right use for Play2Earn. We're really at the baby steps. So those projects are putting the time and energy like us. We're really trying to make sure that the Play2Earn systems work, and we're adapting to the market. We're adapting to strategies. There's fractionalization of NFTs. There's all sorts of new things coming that weren't there yesterday. But yeah, as a story, I'd say people are going to get burnt and projects are going to be burnt, some intentionally and some just pure by accident. This is it's the Wild West. It's a whole new place. So it's just taking things slowly is the right way to be going right now.
I agree. So Thanos from YouTube is asking, how can Play2Earn projects get profitable in the bear market? And so I did my research and just feel like their use cases are diminished.
That's an interesting question. A lot of the Play2Earn projects probably are not profitable during the bear market because their strategy was super hyperinflationary tokens. Those tokenomics work amazing in a bull market because you're basically printing money. However, when the market turns, it falls apart. So a lot of Play2Earn projects probably have completely disappeared. And those who are still here, and there's still a lot still building. There's some really great games out there. Probably making sure that they're adapting to the market, So those who jumped in on the hype just to make money probably are failing. And those who, came to build a game and to be sustainable, a lot of them are still here. Some not, but yeah, a lot of us are still building.
Got it. So Rui from YouTube is asking, do you guys have any plan to implement any other card games or only poker? Right. And maybe from my end, I will add, maybe you can elaborate generally what is the situation with the Polker as a product, and what are the most popular products that you have that people are actually using?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I mean, we really want to make sure that the Texas Hold'em poker game is 100% our focus. It is quite gamified, so you've got the maps, you've got the different dealers. We're going to introduce NFT merging, which is something that not many people are using. So on a lot of accessories and customization. I would say once we're complete, the first thing we'll introduce is maybe mini games, and then we would. Well, I would love to be like, I want this, I want that, but I do feel that the community should be deciding what we build. So I feel like we would use a sort of DAO style of print, and use a token weighted vote on which game we build next. So we'd give options, and let the community choose on which would be the next game.
All right. So when are you expecting the DAO?
So, I mean, I figure that I would imagine this would be Q2 next year, on that. Yeah, I would say Q2 would probably be the time that we'd allow voting on this one.
Got it. So that means that you have they have the runway and everything is fine with the project, and you have enough funds to last till the Q2 at least like next year.
Yeah, for us, like, like it's great. Like, I mean, at the moment, definitely the roadmap has changed. But we looked at it and it was like, okay, we can release to the public now on Unreal 4. But really, with the crypto market down and the interest so negative, even if you release a really good game right now, you're just not going to have the user base that you can get later. So using this time for us to migrate to Unreal Engine 5, to add a few extra fun features. Okay, I can mention now that we're moving some of the stuff onto Epic Games, Epic OS. So we're integrating, a lot of their features as well. Looking at the Epic Store, which will add a massive user base. So there's a huge amount of things that we're integrating at this point. And as market sentiment changes, we'll look at it. But, it's not wholly based on the market, but I would rather release an amazing game in Q4 than have released the game we had, which was playable and good in, last month. So it's a bit of a trade-off. I know it changes our roadmap. However, I feel as a company and also for the users, having to wait 6 months in crypto, I know it feels like an eternity. It's worth it. That delay is worth it.
Listen, as they say, Rome was not built in one day. So like it's exactly. Definitely very, very cumbersome process, and we understand. And listen, as long as I want to explain also to our audience that, it's not a promotional series that we're having here. The reason why I'm like, digging into like, and then picking Connor's brain, like, because we want to make sure you see perfectly the challenges every project is going through. Like it's real challenges. This is an example that guys, they did some good things in their promotion on some things that, they had no clue and experience of who to trust. And then, but they're still there, they're developing and growing. So maybe from the last question, because I think I exhausted the questions from the audience. In terms of the Unreal Engine versus Unity, right? Because I know you had this, conversation, like for the not from the perspective of the project, but generally, right? Why did you choose, Unreal Engine 5?
You can build a great game on Unity, right? And it's going to be playable by everyone. It's going to be cool. It's going to be fun. What you can't build on Unity is an amazing game. Unreal Engine 5, yes, it does mean that this game is more focused towards gamers, but we can the graphics, the what you can do with Unreal 5 is way beyond anything on Unity. So what we do understand is that it probably means a few people won't be able to use the game. Unreal 5 is definitely graphics heavy. So once we have the game out and all working on Unreal 5, we do want to be all inclusive. So we would look at building a web client also, whether that's on Unity or anything else, just so it would still connect to the same backend, the same server, but just allow those who can't use Unreal 5 on their machine to run the game as well. But we want to produce that AA plus, that super, experience that no one else has done first. Show the world what we can do, and then we will build the web clients, the Unity clients, and anything afterwards.
Perfect. Thank you. And I just want to, as we wrapping this up, like, and I just want to say we have many messages thanking Connor for joining, and the messages that that you look nice. Yeah, that if you can have some direct messages from our female side of like our supporters, yeah. So that's great. Listen, Connor, really nice having you. Like, and we tried to make it short and sweet. Thank you. Thank you for your knowledge and your expertise, and thank you everyone for joining BullCaster today. So we, as you can listen to us now bi-weekly. So for 3 p.m. UTC on YouTube Live on Friday and other platforms, as we'll continue invite our partners, our portfolio companies, and other remarkable personalities, just as Connor is. So we would love to have you more, Connor. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you, Konstantin.
All right. Cheers.
All right. Take care. See you.
Bye-bye.